They promised us the stars, but at what cost? Every rocket launch burns through the atmosphere, leaving scars invisible to the eye, but deadly to our planet. Carbon emissions hundreds of times worse than any airplane, particles tearing into the fragile ozone layer, black soot drifting into the stratosphere, where it stays for years. Scientists warn, if the race for space tourism continues, Earth could face irreversible damage. Billionaires chasing cosmic dreams might be accelerating climate collapse right under our noses. What happens when luxury trips to orbit become the final nail in our planet's coffin? What secrets are hidden behind the shimmering promises of space for everyone? This story will open your eyes, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Hit like, subscribe, and let's go. In the beginning, the dream of space travel was a symbol of hope, innovation, and boundless human potential. For decades, only government agencies like NASA or Roscosmos dared to reach beyond our sky, fueled by scientific discovery, not profit. But today, everything has changed. Space is no longer the exclusive domain of astronauts. It has become a playground for billionaires. Companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Virgin Galactic promise to open the heavens to everyone for the price of a small fortune. At first glance, it feels like the future we were promised. Sleek rockets soaring through crystal blue skies, the stars finally within reach. Yet, beneath the glossy images lies a disturbing truth. Every single rocket launch releases immense amounts of carbon dioxide, black carbon, and aluminum oxide into the upper atmosphere, substances that linger for years, trapping heat, disrupting cloud formation, and damaging the ozone layer. In fact, recent studies reveal that the black soot from rockets is up to 500 times more effective at warming the Earth than the carbon dioxide we normally fear. And it's not just the environment. Space debris, the remnants of past missions and failed satellites, floats endlessly above us, threatening future launches, communications, and even the safety of those living down below. The golden age of space tourism is accelerating faster than the regulations that could keep it safe, and while a select few chase their cosmic adventures, the planet that gave birth to humanity slowly begins to suffocate. This is the world we live in today, a world balancing on the edge of wonder and irreversible disaster. It all began in the heat of a silent war, the space race of the 20th century. The United States and the Soviet Union, desperate to outshine each other, launched the first rockets into the heavens, not for exploration, but for dominance. The world watched in awe as Sputnik beeped across the night sky, as Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon. Dreams were born, but so were the seeds of something darker. Over time, the fierce competition gave way to ambition. Space was no longer just a battlefield for nations, it became a goldmine for private companies. Entrepreneurs saw an untapped frontier, not for science, but for profit. As the cost of launch technology dropped, the floodgates opened. Virgin Galactic promised suborbital joyrides. SpaceX vowed to colonize Mars. Blue Origin whispered about orbiting hotels. What began as a bold step for humanity became a luxury experience for the few, and a growing threat to the many. Every launch sent toxic particles soaring into the fragile layers of our atmosphere, slowly weaving an invisible net of destruction. Scientists began to warn, these emissions are unlike anything Earth has ever faced. Their effects could be global, their damage irreversible. And still, the rockets kept flying. The seeds planted in the early days of space exploration have grown into a monstrous industry, hurtling forward without brakes, without caution, and without a clear way back. What was once a symbol of hope is now a ticking clock, counting down to a future we might not be able to survive. Today, a single space launch can release up to 300 tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, the same as an entire city's daily emissions. But the real danger hides higher, where black carbon particles, also known as soot, remain suspended for years, absorbing sunlight and heating the planet more aggressively than ground-level pollution. Scientists from the University of Colorado and the Aerospace Corporation have confirmed that emissions from rockets, especially solid-fuel rockets, are hundreds of times more damaging per kilogram than regular jet emissions. Every tourist flight to the edge of space leaves a scar that the Earth cannot easily heal. In 2022 alone, over 150 orbital launches took place, the most in history, and experts predict that by 2030, this number could double. And with each successful flight, a silent threat grows stronger. Stratospheric pollution isn't just about temperature rise. It threatens to thin the ozone layer, increasing harmful UV radiation at ground level, raising cancer risks, disrupting ecosystems, and accelerating climate feedback loops. Meanwhile, the rush for space tourism has barely any international regulations. No strict environmental standards govern the skies above us. Billionaire companies compete to launch faster, higher, and more often, while the long-term consequences are brushed aside like cosmic dust. What seems like a harmless dream of floating weightlessly among the stars could soon become a global environmental nightmare. This isn't science fiction anymore. It's the reality unfolding right now, above our heads, silent, invisible, but deadly. Here's the part no one talks about. Even if we stopped all space launches today, the damage already done could take decades or longer to repair. Unlike typical pollution that eventually breaks down, particles released into the upper atmosphere by rockets stay trapped for years, where they continue to warm the planet and tear at the ozone layer. Researchers from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration have modeled scenarios where just a few thousand launches per year, a goal easily reachable with booming space tourism, could cause up to a 10% loss in global ozone. That would mean deadlier UV radiation, devastated crops, collapsing ecosystems, and mass human suffering. Some scientists even speculate about a new kind of environmental tipping point, where stratospheric soot could trigger unexpected atmospheric reactions, accelerating climate change beyond human control. And here's the cruel twist: the very technology designed to lift us beyond Earth could be what chains us forever to a dying planet. Worse, because these emissions happen so high up, normal climate agreements like the Paris Accord do not account for rocket pollution. There are no strict international rules, no emergency plans, no easy fixes. Every sparkling launch we celebrate could be quietly cutting into our future, one invisible wound at a time. And yet, every year, more rockets ignite, more billionaires race for orbit, while most of humanity remains completely unaware of the price we are about to pay. Today, scientists around the world are racing to understand the true impact of space tourism on Earth's delicate systems. New studies are using high-altitude balloons, satellite monitoring, and climate modeling to trace the behavior of rocket emissions in the upper atmosphere. For the first time, researchers have captured direct evidence of black carbon accumulating in the stratosphere after multiple rocket launches, confirming what was once only a worrying theory. Meanwhile, cutting-edge technologies are being developed to create greener launch systems. Companies like SpaceX are experimenting with reusable rockets to reduce waste and production emissions, and some innovators are working on alternative fuels, such as liquid methane, which burns cleaner than traditional solid propellants. However, even the most advanced designs still produce harmful particles once they reach space. Scientists at the European Space Agency and private labs are calling for urgent environmental impact assessments for all future launches, something that, astonishingly, is not yet a global standard. Advanced simulation tools now predict that without strict regulations, rocket-related pollution could outpace aviation pollution within just a few decades. The deeper we dig, the clearer it becomes. Space travel, as glamorous and exciting as it seems, is not without a heavy price. The bright future we imagine among the stars is being built on foundations of fragile science and growing environmental risk. And unless innovation accelerates faster than ambition, we could be sealing our own fate, one launch at a time. Some argue that space tourism is not a threat, but a necessary step for human survival. Visionaries like Elon Musk claim that colonizing Mars is humanity's only backup plan, a safeguard against extinction. They envision millions living among the stars, free from Earth's fragile limits. According to this view, every launch is a small price to pay for a greater destiny. But others warn, this dream may be an illusion and a deadly one. Scientists caution that even if colonization succeeds, it would take centuries to terraform another planet. Meanwhile, Earth, the only home we have, is being sacrificed for a fantasy that may never come true. Some theories suggest that the accumulation of pollutants in the stratosphere could trigger unforeseen climate feedback loops, much faster and deadlier than models predict. Others propose that the disruption of natural atmospheric patterns could intensify storms, droughts, and global food shortages within a single generation. Progress always demands sacrifice, but what if this time, the price is far too high? The race to conquer space is not a peaceful journey of discovery. It is a fierce competition driven by ego, power, and profit. And in the shadows of shining rockets, a chilling truth emerges. We are not escaping disaster. We are creating it. Humanity stands at a crossroads, and the stars we reach for may yet burn us in ways we cannot even imagine. The impact is no longer theoretical, it is already unfolding. Increased levels of stratospheric black carbon are disrupting natural weather patterns, leading to stronger hurricanes, harsher droughts, and more extreme temperature swings. Scientists observe that even minor changes in the delicate atmospheric balance can ripple outward, triggering chain reactions across ecosystems. Crops fail. Oceans heat up. Wildlife migrates or dies off. But the most chilling consequence is the silent poisoning of our skies. As ozone levels thin, ultraviolet radiation intensifies, quietly raising cancer rates, damaging DNA, and weakening immune systems. The very atmosphere that once protected life now becomes a source of danger. For science, the irony is painful. The quest for knowledge and exploration may have unleashed forces we cannot fully understand or control. And for ordinary people, the billions who never dreamed of touching space, the cost is suffering without consent. Environmentalists are raising alarms. Some nations are calling for global treaties to regulate space launches, to create environmental safeguards before it's too late. But the wheels of change turn slowly, while rockets continue to rise every week, each one leaving another invisible wound. Humanity faces a cruel new reality. Our pursuit of the stars has come at the expense of the ground beneath our feet. If we do not change course soon, the damage will not just reshape the climate, it will reshape what it means to survive on Earth. And in this new world, it may not be progress that reigns, but survival itself. In the end, humanity stands before a simple but brutal choice: evolve or perish. The dream of reaching the stars was never wrong, but the way we have pursued it may destroy the very world that made us dream. We cannot unlearn the damage already done, but we can choose how we move forward. Should we continue racing blindly into the cosmos, chasing glory at any cost? Or can we find a way to explore responsibly, to build technologies that protect as much as they push boundaries? It is a moral dilemma as old as humanity itself: ambition versus stewardship, conquest versus compassion. The path we choose now will define not just our future among the stars, but whether Earth remains a place worth returning to. Some believe that innovation will save us, that cleaner technologies and smarter regulations will heal the wounds we have inflicted. Others fear it is already too late, that we have crossed invisible thresholds we cannot undo. But one truth remains: progress without wisdom is no progress at all. We must decide whether the next chapter of our story is one of survival through change, or extinction through pride. The stars will always be there, cold and unfeeling. It is humanity that must prove worthy to reach them, without losing everything that makes us human along the way. Remember how it all began: the promise of the stars, the hope of touching something greater? Now, knowing the hidden cost, would you still chase that dream? Or would you fight to protect the fragile world that gave birth to it? I'll be honest with you, I don't know what scares me more: a future where we lose the chance to explore the universe, or a future where we reach it, but leave behind a broken planet we can never truly replace. Space tourism feels so distant, so elite, but its impact is real, and it touches all of us, even those who have never looked through a telescope. Every breath we take, every cloud overhead, every life depending on a stable Earth, all of it stands at risk because of choices made far above our heads. Maybe we cannot stop the rockets. Maybe the race to the stars is too far gone. But we can still demand responsibility. We can still ask the hard questions. We can still choose to care. So tell me, if you could stand at the edge of the Earth and see the thin blue line of our atmosphere trembling against the void, would you risk it all just for a glimpse beyond? Or would you turn back to fight for the only home we have? Share your thoughts below. I really want to hear what you think. Because this story isn't just about billionaires, rockets, or distant stars. It's about us and the future we are building, one choice at a time.